Hello, my name is Adriana and this is my November reading wrap-up. So as per usual, we will start with stats. Let me pull up stats. So for the month of November, I read a total of 6 books. That was 1,268 pages. The average page length of my books was 634 pages, which is wild. I listened to 39 hours worth of audiobooks, and my physical TBR is down to 46 books, which is not bad. I mean, it's still a lot. It's still a lot of books, but like, it's better than it has been in a minute, I think. I don't know. So my genre breakdown, here it is. 2 nonfiction, 1 fantasy, 2 mystery thrillers, and 1 historical fiction. These were all adult, although there is like a little bit of, maybe not like actual contention, but just like a little bit of back and forth on one of the books as to whether it's like adult, new adult, young adult, whatever. It's in that kind of gray zone. Where I stood in a series, 4 of my books, most of them were standalones, and then one of them was the start of a series, and one of them was like in a series. Format-wise, I had 4 audiobooks and then 1 ebook and 1 paperback. Yeah, generally I don't like to listen to more audiobooks than I read physical books, but both books I read this month were chunky. Both my eyeball reads were very chunky. Source, I got 5 of these from the library, and 1 of them I borrowed from my dad. Ratings wise, I had both ends of the spectrum. I had some 5s and a 1, and then a couple 4s. And then I chose not to rate one of my books. So page length, here is proof that I read very chunky books. One was 600 plus pages. The other one was was in the 500 range. Chunky books this month. Year? I don't even know what's happening anymore. Year published. So most of my books fell in the 2020 to 2023 range. This might be the first month where I did not read a 2024 release. Let me check real quick. I'm kind of interested to see if that is actually true. Yep, 100%. This is the first month I did not read a 2024 release in the month. So that's kind of interesting. And then my last graph is my where I heard about it. So one of them was for a book club. One of them I heard about from BookTube, and I will shout that out in my book by book review because I want to shout out the specific YouTuber. I guess he's not really a booktuber, so I want to shout out the specific YouTuber. One of them I found while browsing, and then 2 of them were authors I had read from before. So with that, before we jump into the book by book review, please consider liking and commenting on this video and subscribing to my channel if you like bookish things. So the first book I finished in November was Jade City by Fonda Lee. I actually read this as a part of a Reading My Friends Faves project, so you can check out my deeper thoughts on that video. I really loved this book. It's so juicy. And I think I talk about that a lot, like in the video where I discuss like my deeper thoughts as I move through the book. But something that I think doesn't get hyped up as much about this book is that Fonda Lee like existed in the business world, the corporate world before she started writing. And you can really feel that, like, especially when she writes like women in a male dominated field, like that hashtag that's going on right now, like so much of the female characters she writes, I relate to so much as a woman in a male-dominated field. And that's something I just really appreciate about how this book is put together and how the characters interact and everything else. It just feels like so realistic, and I enjoy it immensely, and I cannot recommend this book enough. Fantasy gangsters. It's dope. Like, I don't know what else to say. So the next book I listened to was Racism Without Racists, and this was actually a recommendation from FD Signifier. He is a YouTuber. I don't think he likes being called a YouTuber. I don't know what he wants to be called, but he makes videos about kind of a lot of stuff, but mostly focused around like Black culture and how it interacts with like culture at large. He's just kind of like a culture critic, maybe is like the best description of his videos. And he recommended this book, Racism Without Racists, and it seems like it's kind of a pinnacle work of the like anti-racist genre. I think this was the third or fourth edition that I listened to. So it's one that has been kind of like done and redone. I think the first edition came out in like the early 2000s or late 90s. And then this one came out more recently. So it talks about like the Obama years, the 2020 election, and kind of how the specific type of racism in calling out my hometown. The specific type of racism in the United States is so particular, and how it came to be and how it affects how our culture is built. So I thought it was really, really fascinating. Like, none of what was in here, I guess, was new to me as someone who has like done some like anti-racist reading, but I think this would be an excellent place to start if you are like looking to learn about anti-racism and then like racism versus being racist and like all of this stuff. So I just think it's a very excellent book. Highly recommend it. Even though it is written by an academic, it is written in a way that is like very easily digestible for a layman. Like, it's a good book. I would recommend. This is the one I chose not to rate just because I feel weird about rating certain types of nonfiction, and this is on that list. The next book I listened to was The Cloisters. This was a pick for the Shelf This Book Club. It was a pick from Lizzie, but the book club is Bailey's book club. I'll have both of their channels listed down below. We actually just had the discussion for this book over the weekend, and it was really interesting because this was very much just like a vibes book. Like, there's nothing, like, most of the book, there's nothing really going on. It's just like this girl from like small town Washington who goes to the big city and gets kind of like twisted up in this weird group of people and like their drama that they have going on. So it kind of gives like Gossip Girl, or what was the other one that, shoot, I don't know. Like, it's given like rich people problems, like small town girls suddenly getting launched into rich people problems that rich people create for themselves. So I obviously appreciated the part of like small town Washington girl because I am small town Washington girl. And then the vibes were really cool and fun. I don't often love like New York City as a setting just because like I don't have a lot of personal connection with it, but I was kind of able to get over that just because I could really put myself into the main character's shoes of like, this is probably how I would have reacted to this as someone from rural Washington at 22. So I really enjoyed it. Not everybody in the book club liked it because it's one of those books where I think you really have to like latch on to something because it is just straight vibes and like not a lot else. The next book I listened to was Carrie Soto is Back. This was a 5-star for me. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing. Like, I don't know what it is, but something about it just like hits like the most like lizard brain emotional part of my being. And I just react so viscerally to the emotion she puts on the page. So this one is about like an aging tennis star who comes back into the game to defend her title as the tennis player with the most Grand Slams, I think. I can't remember if it's female tennis player with the most Grand Slams or just like overall tennis player with the most Grand Slams. But she comes back to defend her title and try to beat the new up-and-comer. And it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I actually recommended this one to my grandma because she's a big tennis fan, so I think she would enjoy it, but she's also read a lot of tennis books, so I'll have to see what she thinks and how it stacks up against all the other tennis memoirs and everything she's read. Although this one is just fiction, so maybe that'll help. It'll either help or hurt. I don't know. The next book I read was Brimstone by Preston Childs. I actually did read this one physically, but I don't have the copy of the book anymore because it was a borrow from my dad. This is the 5th book in the Pendergast series, and I think this is finally where I'm getting the hype about Pendergast. The first 4 books I was kind of like meh on, like I really didn't get it. Like I enjoyed them, like they were fine, but this one, Brimstone, it's got me. I'm a Pendergast girly now. I am like hooked into the series. I will definitely be like punching through them a little bit quicker than I have been. This one's very good. So it starts with Detective D'Agosta from the first 2 books, Relic and Reliquary. He is which I thought he died in Reliquary. I don't know where I got that from. I thought he was fully dead, but he is not dead. He is now a cop in Southampton, New York, and he comes across like this really weird case where it looks like the guy died by being drugged to hell by the devil. And so obviously that piques Pendergast's interest, and so it launches into a whole thing of like rich people problems. Like, I don't know what it is about rich people problems, but they're just fascinating to me. So this one was just like super fun. It had kind of like a interesting sci-fi element. It had obviously lots of action, and we kind of dip our toes into some more Pendergast lore of what's going on. We get some new characters. It's just really fun. And I get it. I get it now. The next book I listened to was Beyond Disruption. I'm gonna be honest here and say this book was really dumb. Like, only an MBA would decide it's necessary to write a full-ass novel about how you can make a new product without destroying other products. Like, it's just dumb. Like, it was just so dumb. I don't know, maybe this was helpful to some MBA student out there of coming up with a fully new idea is gonna be profitable but not disturb other parts of the economy, but like I just feel like it's really obvious. And like this book just like held on to the same like 4 case studies, or there's just like these 4 businesses like came up with a new idea and like it didn't hurt other products or economies or businesses, and I'm like, this is just really dumb. This is really dumb. So if you know of any business books that aren't dumb, throw it this way to your girl, because everything I've read so far has just seemed really obvious and really dumb, and I'm trying to survive in capitalism. So I ended on a dumb book, which was probably not my best idea, but it happens. It's mind-boggling to me that we are actually in December now, and I kind of love it and hate it at the same time. This year has been insane for me, but looking forward to jumping into the new year and seeing what it brings. So thanks so much for watching, and I will catch you on the next video.